Now, last time we looked at this VW variant, it was just a quick walk around a bare shell, going over what we've done. Now, fast forward a year and over 2,500 hours worth of work, modifications, we're here. Now, this has had a ton of work, loads of modifications, which we're going to go through now, which have had their fair share of problems we've had to work through, but also we've got an absolute stack more modifications that we've got planned for this. Right now, rewinding back to the very start of this build. Now, the owner had followed us for a while, having seen the green common gear that we built a few years ago that did really well at the shows. Now, he's heavily into his VWs. He's got quite a lot already, and he'd never seen a VW variant built to that standard, which is why this car was chosen to do. Now, he basically wants to win shows with this thing. Now, we love a challenge, but that really puts the pressure on. Right now, the owner basically, we got some pictures together off Google, throwing ideas around of what this car was actually going to look like. Now, from the start, it was always going to have air suspension, some cool wheels, maybe some 17-inch steelies, something like that. But one of the things that the owner wanted was early panels on it, but the biggest thing was the Webasto sliding sunroof. Now, we couldn't find one, literally couldn't find one. The only ones we could find were just the cheaper, rubbish ones with Prestons around the outside, which I was never going to fit. It wouldn't have been the quality that we wanted of this car. So I came up with the idea, let's put an electric panoramic sunroof in it, which I'd done before on another car years ago. And that's what started the ball rolling with a load of other modifications on this car. The first modifications we did to this was basically to smooth it all out. We've done it to a ton of cars before, was de-handle it, just to smooth all the car out. So basically, we cut out a big section there, got rid of the door handle section, welded a plate on there to smooth it all out, modify it on the inside, put some solenoids in there, and basically, when it's finished, pop of a button on your alarm fob, the door is going to pop open and just look super cool. Now, other modifications that have been done to the doors, one-piece windows. Normally these have a quarter light running there, small little window and an opening quarter light. One of the things that we started doing with this was a retro custom look. This doesn't suit the, the street rod look, which we're going for now. So it's tidying up all the lines, giving it that more of a modern feel to it. So one-piece window there, we've got custom seals going into it. One of the main things on this is panel fitment. On all the cars that we built here, but this one especially, one of the things that was causing us a load of problem were the standard seals. Normally you've got a standard seal that fits on the body and one on the car as well. Now, it just wasn't working. It was pushing the door out in different areas. So we've done a load of subtle modifications to the body, fitted a modern style seal to the body. That fits perfectly to the door now. All the little pieces of metal that were on the door, which held the seal in place, they've been smoothed off, so the door looks a lot cleaner as well. Electric windows, you can't miss the electric windows now. Now this is mocked up. These work, they work perfectly. All this is mocked up at the moment. It all needs final fitting, final finishing, cleaning up of welds, this, that and the other before final paint. So that's all been done as well. One-piece windows. We've also had to build up door edges in various areas just so they fit perfectly to the door. So when the door's shut, you don't see any daylight coming through there. So although we've modified the seals, they also work perfectly, which is really important, of course. Right now, under the bonnet area has had an absolute stack of work done to it. Not only have we got a custom fuel tank in there as well, we've actually had to tub it as well. Now, we started off doing small tubs, thinking that we could get away with that, but because we're going to put some 17s on there, we want ample clearance, plus it needs to look cool. So the fuel tank is actually made out of two separate fuel tanks. On the top here, it's slightly dusty at the moment, but I've actually put some recessed panels into there, which have all been bead rolled. The same bead rolling has been done on the front there and a little bit on the back as well, so there's that theme that follows through the whole build. Got this hidden fuel filler cap as well there. So once that's painted, that'll be smoothed in, instead of having the pipe that normally goes to the front of the car or a big pipe here, which you can't miss. So once all that's painted, that looks super slick. Obviously we've got the fuel sender there for the fuel gauge, but that will be covered over with a nice panel, which again will be trimmed in the material, leather, suede, whatever we decide to go for at the front. But also the bonnet. Yeah, I'm holding that up at the moment, but that's got actuators on it as well. So basically you click your button, pops the solenoid, pops the bonnet open, flick another button, and this bonnet opens all on its own with actuators, which is pretty cool, and you'll never see another one doing that. There, we can have the air tank looking like it's hovering in place. So we're gonna have an air tank sitting in that pocket there. So on all the cars we build, it's all about the details, which I'm always going on about, but this car especially, it's details on details, honestly, it's ridiculous. Starting here, new old stock bumpers, we decided to chop them up and hug them to the body, giving just a 3mm body gap between the bumper and the body. So we've had to get the car to a point where the filler work is done, we've pretty much primed it once, and it's almost correct. It's almost in the right place now. Bumpers have been chopped up, ends have been sliced off, re-welded back together. I didn't like the way the standard seal just sits out the edge of the indicators and the backlights as well. So again, just smoothing everything up, making everything look proper sharp. Body gaps. Now we've gone fully overboard on this. Welding edges, grinding edges, modifying panels, fitting differently to get gaps perfect. Now this car would normally have quite a big fat gap there and then just shove a wing beading in there. We didn't want that, we've modified it. This is perfect, you've got about a 1mm gap there leading into this. Everything is super sharp. Now this still needs finishing. This, you can see, is filler work. All this needs bringing down. All these lines, super sharp. And it's not just there, it's every single gap on the car. All right, so the tailgate as well, it's had a ton of work done to it. Not only have we got all the gaps right, as we've done on the rest of the car, tail lights as well. So basically we're gonna have a hidden seal at the back of there, spaced off slightly, making sure all the lines are nice and sharp, running into the top there, and it just fits perfectly. Just like the front bumper, the back bumper, it's been cut up, moved around, cut up, modified the brackets as well, pulled everything in to get that 3mm body gap there as well. And again, this seam here, a load of modifications that you'll never see that have gone on behind there, basically to mount the wing to the body differently than it would have been the standard. If you're into your VWs, you might notice something different here as well. Stack of work done to there. Normally that's recessed about an inch and it just didn't look right at all. So basically we made a new panel here, bead rolled that and welded that in, brought it all forward so that bead roll there and that one there matches all the bead rolling that has gone into the tubs at the front. And not only that, the number plate light as well. It used to be quite a big fat chunky number plate light. We've slimmed that down, made that nice and tight as well. Nice little number plate light there as well. Not only that, this tailgate's got a nice little trick up its sleeve. Just like the front, it opens on actuators. That's took a ton of work. I mean, like talking a couple of weeks work just to get that working correctly, working smoothly. And it's also got soft close on it as well. Another one of my stupid ideas, which is also one of the best ideas, is what I love about this job. Every mad idea I come up with, the owner agrees to. So we're going flush fit glass on this. Now we were never going to do that, but basically when we went for the one-piece door windows, smoothing everything out, it just made perfect sense, especially as we've gone for the modern style sunroof, to have one-piece glass all around, a flush fit glass, just like a modern car would have. So we've had a new window made for the front. We've modified all this front scuttle panel as well, and all these edges, the rounded edges, they're going to be squared off. Just so when you look like a modern car, it's going to look super smooth, super sleek. Get rid of that big fat rubber that you'd normally have around any normal classic car. Not only on the front, we're doing it on the sides and on the tailgate as well. Right, so moving on to the engine bay, there is, again, a stack of work done onto this engine bay. Now, we were just going to tidy up what was already there, but unfortunately, one of the past owners, they just butchered the side panels. And the back panel, the back bulkhead was just full of rust holes, which I tried to repair, but it was just too rotten, too thin, and it kept on blowing through. So the best thing to do is to literally use that as an option to customize it again. So bulkhead was completely cut out and fabricated a new one. Now we've gone for the step design, basically to match all the panel work that was done at the front. So that's all been bead rolled. It's nice and smooth as well. The design there completely matches perfectly to the shape of the rear tin on the engine as well. So everything's been done and shaped for a reason. Side panels as well, they are different as well because we're not running heaters on this. The standard one has little cutouts for heater tubes. We didn't need any of that, so we've just got nice and square, boxed in. Everything's been smooth. So the engine bay is as smooth as we could possibly get it, and it's going to look super cool when it's dripping in nice glossy lacquer. Now we've also got, with the engine in, we've got a perfect gap either side, which runs parallel between the engine and the side panels as well, once it's got that nice big back turbo engine sitting in there. But that's another story. To most people, it will just look like a standard car, but a really nicely restored one. The interior, on the other hand, I think this is where it's gonna make it stand out. It's gonna look so cool. The plans that I've got in my head anyway for what it's gonna look like. There was loads of metalwork that's done underneath the back seat area. I had to literally make all of that from scratch. A load of work has been done to that. But one of the biggest modifications metalwork wise on the interior is the custom dashboard. Now, we're always going to keep it Ryan Drive, but the standard dashboard, it just looks dull. It looks messy. We wanted that smooth look. Now, the owner wanted to kind of copy off the green common gear that we built with the center speedo. It looks super cool, but I didn't want to do the same thing. The idea was to build a custom dash and basically have a Tesla style 14.6-inch Samsung tablet in the center of the dashboard, which is going to run everything on the car. We're going to have split screen. You can have Google Maps. You can have your dashboard, your speedo, your tacho, whatever you want. That's actually programmable, or it will be. Also, a load of buttons on that for the sunroof, electric windows, door poppers, heated seats. It's going to do everything. It's going to look super, super trick. But also it's going to look like it's floating. Now, one of the things with this, it's become a bit of a theme. The air tank in the front is going to look like it's floating. The seat mounts, when we make them, they're going to come off the transmission tunnel. The seats are going to look like they're floating. Exactly the same thing with that tablet as well. It's going to come off the dashboard slightly. You're not going to see the mount. Also, we've had to figure out, and this took so much figuring out that as to get it to work right. But what we're also going to do is have it self-charging as well, so that it's mounted there. You'll never have to take it out the car to charge it. We've got Wi-Fi on there, the lock. You may have noticed there's no handbrake. That's another modification that we did. This actual floor pan, the chassis on this, has already had a ton of work done to it. Already we've welded all the holes up. We've got it solid, but welded up the hole and smoothed that where the handbrake would normally go. We're running an electric handbrake on this just to smooth up that transmission tunnel. So that will be on show, that will be painted. We've got a pretty trick gear stick going in as well that we're going to modify further. So we really like the look of the Pagani handbrake, things like that. Cars of that ilk, they look amazing. They're works of art on their own. Now we've bought one, we're going to modify it further. Not sure exactly what is possible to do to that one yet, but it's going to be trimmed in wood, leather, and that theme, clean cream wood theme, is going to run throughout this whole build. It's going to be trick and it's going to be a nice place to be. Right, so modifications aside, this car, since the last time we filmed it, has had an absolute ton of bodywork done to it. It's plain to see. We've done the sills, we've finished a load of metal work on it. Everything's been surfaced. Now this still needs more surfacing to get everything perfect. After that, we're onto the interior and the running gear. Running gear is going to be pretty special on that, and we're going to be getting into that in future videos. Stick around for that. But basically, in a nutshell, it's having full air suspension, Beetle front start air suspension, and a 2.3 litre turbo engine running about 280 brake horsepower. So this thing is going to go as well as it looks. So stick around. We'll see you on the next one.